Hey guys, I am back with another process video. So if you watched last week's video, you've probably seen me making this background or pattern paper or whatever you want to call it. So in this video, I am going to be using this in one way, and then I'm going to make another layout using it in another way. So I'm not going to use this as a background. You'll see what I'm going to do with it. I'm trying to keep this short. So I decided to use this picture of me and my friends, and we went on our school trip to Greece, and we went to the gardens in Athens, and I thought that would go with the birds and the flowers that's on this paper. And then I pulled out some distress oxides and inks to use on this paper. So I have picked raspberry, mustard seed, I have the distress oxide twisted citron, spiced marmalade, and tumbled glass. So those are some colors that I have picked out. And then I also pulled out the Life is Beautiful collection kit from Fancy Pants that has the papers, this alpha set, and puffy stickers, because this isn't included in any of my kits, so I thought I could easily use this on one on the layout. And I really love this collection, and I only used it once. So and the colors, the theme of flowers matches as well with this, because I feel like it has a very outdoorsy kind of theme going on. And then I also tried to match my inks with the pattern paper. So I am going to put you on fast forward and get started. Okay, so I'm going to start just by opening up this pack and just going through the options that I have to use on the kit. So the puffy stickers and all the different papers that are included in this kit. And then I'm going to work on this piece here. So because I didn't do a very good job of stamping the edges fully, I am going to just cut a 4x I cut a big chunk of this paper, and I'm just going to use my inks and stuff to put on there, because the ink that I used to stamp the image was waterproof. And then I'm just going to come back in with all the colors I got picked out. So I started with the green, and then I'm going with the pink. And I didn't use any gesso on here, which is why these are not blending so well. And I couldn't really use any gesso on here, because that would mean adding white gesso on top of some stamped image, which would tone down the image and you couldn't really see it. The other option was to put gesso on the page before stamping it, but I felt that that would make the page too textury and too bumpy to stamp a clear image. So I'm just going to add inks on here without any distress ink. So I added all my different colors on there, and then I pulled out this just a white piece of cardstock for my background, and now I'm going to go through all the papers and see what I want to use. So I'm making two piles. So one pile is the stuff I know I'm not going to use for sure, and the other pile is the stuff that I could potentially use. And the stuff that I'm not going to use, I just put it away because it doesn't have to be in my way. So my idea here was to make a bunch of different paper layers over to the side of the page, either vertically or horizontally. So I started out with the idea of doing it vertically. But as I was doing that, I realized that I had too big of a piece of that stamped paper, because it is quite busy, especially with all that color. So I cut it down. And then I thought I could do this thing here where I have it on both sides. So I cut a piece of that wood veneer paper because I liked how it looked on here. And then I decided I want even less of this paper, and I want the blues and greens to show more than the pinks, because the pink didn't blend well. It was too much of a hot pink. I wanted it to be a bit more toned down, but oh well, I'm going to make it work. Then here's where I thought maybe I could do this horizontally, and I would like it better. Also, I did struggle with the fact that my picture is a 4x6 picture, because I have not scrapbooked a 4x6 picture. First of all, it's bigger than what I normally scrapbook, but I think the most the thing that really bothered me was the fact that it's not square, it's rectangular, which makes it harder for me to layer things behind layers of paper behind it, especially if there are 6x6 papers. So here's where I decided that this needs to be toned down. So first I'm just going to add some white gesso on top of it on the edges, but then I am going to come back in eventually and add gesso everywhere. So I picked out that yellow piece and the wood grain to add as layers on my photo, and here's where I add the gesso there. Not layers behind my photo, just layers on the page. And I'm going to add some more gesso on here. And then I decided that I do prefer it to be horizontal rather than vertical. So I got the pink paper that goes all the way down, not the pink paper, the floral paper that goes all the way from the top to the bottom, and so does the wood grain, but the mustard paper I'm just going to keep to be on top of the picture. So here I'm just using some double-sided tape to glue everything down, and I want to make sure that they're all glued down at the edges. And then here I decide I'm going to add these little scrap pieces of green paper behind my photo. So the reason why I wanted the edges to be glued down completely is because I wanted to add some gesso and mixed media, and I didn't want it to seep under the pattern paper. So I'm just using my finger because I couldn't find my palette knife to spread the gesso on there, and I'm waiting for it to dry. And then I'm going to come in with the tumbled glass because I felt like I needed a bit more blue on here. That is a distress ink, and I'm just using the packaging technique. So I'm adding the pigment on the package, on a piece of packaging, and then I'm adding some water and just smushing it onto the page. And then this is where I also was thinking about adding a strip of that wood grain paper over to the right, which I am eventually. And then this paper, the back of it has a gorgeous floral that I had cut out, fussy cut at some point, and these are the scraps pieces, those green ones. So I'm going to layer those behind my photo. And then I also remember that the Vintage Bliss collection by Simple Stories had some similar colors and cream colors, and yeah, so I pulled that out, but I'm not going to end up using it, I think. So I popped my picture up on some foam, and then here I thought I was going to use this pattern paper from that Simple Stories collection, but I'm not going to in the end. And then here's where I thought that a doily would look perfect on here, but I had to pull those papers up to be able to tuck it under the layers. So I just got rid of it for the time being, but then I decided what the heck, and I'm going to bring it back in. So here's where I just decided I'm going to pull those papers up and stick my doily behind them. And I'm using some wet glue for that. This is a Yoo-Hoo twist and glue. Because of the delicacy of that doily, I needed like a fine tip something. Sorry for the lighting there. The shadowing went kind of crazy. Okay, so now I'm trying to see what else I might want to add because the picture is looking a bit dull, and I really struggled with what to add. And I also have these bingo cards from the Vintage Bliss collection, so I'm cutting out the ones that are in the colors that might work, like the mustard color and the pink color. And then I'm going through my tags because I felt like I needed more paper elements, but not necessarily pattern paper. And because I don't have the die cuts or anything from this collection, I have the puffy stickers, I decided to go through my tags and through my random pieces die cut section there and see what I can find. I don't think I pulled anything out of there actually. But yeah, so now I'm going through some other die cuts, and then I decided to go through some Project Life cards, and I'm gonna pull a couple out here. Well, these are a combination of Project Life cards and cut aparts from various collections. So the blue one is a cut apart, but the ones I'm pulling out now are Project Life cards. And I thought that the butterflies would look nice, or the florals. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue down that green paper, and then I'm going to try layering some of these Project Life cards behind my picture, and I don't really like it, so I'm not going to stick with it, but I did play around with the idea for some time. And then here's where I bring in one of those tags, and that blue one and the pink one with the butterfly at the bottom are actually from IKEA. And then I also have those frames from the Atwell collection by Fancy Pants that are sticky notes. So I'm just going back and forth between all these options that I have pulled out because nothing is really working. And then here I decide that I'm going to cut out this piece from the Project Life card to use as a die cut, and I'm also going to fussy cut out some of these butterflies from the card, and I'm just going to choose the ones that have color on them and that aren't craft or anything like that. So I'm going to take some time and fussy cut those out. Some of them don't make it because my scissors slipped. I'm not very good at fussy cutting, especially these butterflies that are so small and have, basically because they're small. My idea was to have them going on a sort of diagonal at the beginning, but you'll see if I end up sticking with that. So just more fussy cutting. I don't know why I didn't edit that out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm making you watch me fussy cut butterflies from a Project Life card. So as I said at the beginning, this picture I'm using is from the National Gardens in Greece, next to the Parliament, I guess is what it's called in English, which used to be I wouldn't say castle, but the primary residence of the king. So we got the National Gardens right next door, so we had a little bit of spare time, and me and my two classmates went to have a look, and we took a lot of pictures. But I chose this one because all three of us were in it, and also you could see the orangey colors and the flowers behind us. So then here I have these feathers pulled out from the Amy Tangerine stitch collection, and I thought maybe I could make them work because they have a wood grain pattern on them. And that floral piece you saw me pull there is from the Fancy Pants collection, from the Happy Place collection. And I'm also adding one of those sticky note frames up there. And then I cut that tag because I wanted to be able to move it a bit more freely, and since my photo is glued down, I had to be a lot shorter in order for me to tuck it in behind. So I really like the cluster that I have on the top, but now I gotta build one on the bottom. So I did add a bit of that yellow paper that I have, the mustard paper that I have in the layers on the right, to the layers in my photo, just to bring in that color somewhere else. And then I'm going to spell out my title. So I'm just going to spell out the word National Gardens using these yellow puffy stickers that came from in the collection. But I also thought maybe I could combine it with the blue ones that came in the Atwell collection, since they're the same font. But I didn't like that look whatsoever, so I'm just going to stick with the yellow ones. And they felt a bit like they were floating down there, so what I did was take this grid paper, not grid, this like lined paper that comes in the collection, and use that as a home, kind of, let's call it, like a place for the stickers to sit and not look like they're floating in the middle of the layout. So nothing's glued down yet, which is why this is giving me a hard time. But I wasn't sure about anything, so I didn't want to glue anything down. So I'm going to kind of stagger these two pieces, the one that says National and the one that says Gardens. And you'll notice that there's a lot of M's rather than N's in here. I'm going to fix that later just because I ran out of N's. So I wanted the National the word National to overlap the photo cluster there, which like the papers that are down there, and then I also wanted the word Gardens to overlap the piece where the National is on. So I'm taking a lot of time trying to figure out the exact placement of those, so I have them in where I got them where I want them to be. So yeah. And then I'm also going to add that dream piece at the top, and then I'm also going to add some of these stickers, which I was surprised too, because I haven't used those in a very long time. So I'm going to add one at the top, and then I'm going to add one next to my title eventually. I don't think I added one yet. Or maybe I did. Oh, there it is, yeah. I wanted to fill in that gap that looked a bit weird down there, so I stuck one of those stickers there. And now I'm going to finally kind of glue some things down. Not everything yet, though. And now I'm trying to figure out what I want to use from this puffy sticker sheet, but nothing really was striking. Nothing was appealing to me, so I'm going to glue down some more things here. And I've also placed my butterflies in various places. Didn't end up doing a diagonal kind of thing. I just added 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom, I think. And I tried to match the colors. So then I also have this chipboard piece that I thought would add some texture and dimension to the page. So I got that one that says Big Smile up there. I originally pulled it so I could use the butterfly, the bird, because I thought that would be appropriate. But it just, I don't know, it didn't work. It was too fancy, I guess, for this layout. And I also decided not to use the Big Smile because it was a mint green color and I already have too many greens going on here. So then from the puffy stickers, I'm going to use, I believe, 2 of the hearts and 1 of those little florals, just to add a different kind of texture and just a few little detail things that, the tiny little things that I always add at the end of my pages. So I'm going to glue those down as well. I'm going to do some splatter. So I started with splattering the Distress Oxide in the green color. So while I'm doing this, I'd like to mention that I won't have pictures in this video, but they will be over on Instagram. So if you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can look at my Instagram account and see all the pictures for my layouts. So then the last detail I'm going to add is some gold sequin hearts, and that is going to complete the page. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check back in tomorrow for another video as part of the July Scrapathon. I will see you next time.